Hi, I'm Stephen Lewis, your host on this little adventure that I like to call Life as We Know It. If you could, give me a like, give me a follow on the socials at Stephen Lewis on the air. And I'm on TikTok as well, but I'm not a good TikToker. I will be the first to admit that I'm not cool enough to get my TikTok done right. But nonetheless, I talk about things that I kind of feel interesting, and maybe you do too. My background, real quick. Started doing radio, found it by accident when I was a junior in college, and never looked back. Had the privilege of hosting morning shows with some very talented folks. Had the privilege of doing the solo thing and kind of cultivating playlists and controlling stations and working with some incredibly talented individuals, which I continue to do today through various stations and various outlets. But I like to talk, and I'm opinionated, and when I have something on my mind, I need an outlet to express that. And I started doing this more during the pandemic because I was literally sitting in an apartment by myself most nights, and there was nothing going on, nothing was open, so it was a good way to talk and to communicate and occasionally have some cool guests on, but just, kind of talk about what's on our mind. Today, I think a lot of people are talking about TV for a lot of good reasons. The season finale of The Last of Us last night on HBO or HBO Max, and I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to spoil anything and I want to give everybody a chance to watch it, but one of the episodes later this week, going to talk about video games and how, in most cases, the video game to media adaptation tends to fail, and fail quite epically. But Last of Us seems to be bucking that rule. So we'll get into that a little bit later in the week. But the other thing that's on everybody's mind, the Academy Awards went down last night. And I thought I didn't watch all of it. I kind of skimmed back and forth to see what was going on from time to time. That show is, quite frankly, boring. I think it got livened up a little bit last year with the whole Will Smith thing, and I was kind of disappointed because I love Jimmy Kimmel a lot. I think Kimmel's hilarious, but you started making Will Smith slap jokes, and that's the easy way out. Just, kind of move past it, get beyond it, would have been the way that I would have liked to see that go, but I'm not being paid that kind of money to, host the Oscars. So if that ever happens, maybe I'll be able to move past things. Who knows? But nonetheless, I felt like that was a cheap shot. A lot of people are talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once, winning 7 of 11 Oscars that it was up for, including Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor. It was, I saw the movie and I liked the movie. I get why it did what it did. It would not have been my choice for everything. I think, Angela Bassett was visually upset that she lost out to Jamie Lee Curtis for Best Supporting Actress. And a lot of people I saw this morning, the first thing that people said is she got snubbed because she was African American. No, absolutely not. Angela Bassett did not get snubbed because she was African American. Angela Bassett got snubbed because she was delivering one hell of a performance in a comic book movie that rarely gets recognized for anything other than what it won, best costuming, best special effects, or something along those lines. Does that mean that Angela Bassett did not have an Academy Award nominating worthy performance? Absolutely not. She was fantastic in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So I don't think it was a racial thing as much as just the industry has a thing against comic book movies. And the Oscars has always been a show that most of the time movies win that the average movie-going public does not even see. It's very similar to the Grammys in the sense that, you're watching the Grammys, for example, and all of a sudden an artist that you've never heard of picks up a trophy. That's why, same thing, it's just kind of the way it works. I was very happy to see Short Round. Ke Huy Quan picked up Best Supporting Actor, and I thought that was really cool. And Brendan Fraser picking up the nod for Best Actor. I love The Whale. The Whale brought me to tears when I watched it. If you have not seen that movie, put it on your list. It is so worth the time to check out and to watch. It is so good on so many levels. And to see Brendan Fraser, who, was big in the 90s with kind of all kinds of different movies. He's probably most famous for things like Encino Man and, stuff of that nature. But I love him in With Honors. I love him in, there's a movie where he plays a Jewish kid in an all prep school called School Ties. It's one of my favorite movies ever. A young Matt Damon is also in that. But Brendan Fraser kind of got dumped by Hollywood in the early 2000s. And he went through a lot of stuff. Personally, he gained a lot of weight. He lost a lot of weight. His health wasn't that good. His health gotten better. And for him to win that, and he even kind of alluded to that in his speech where he was kind of said he was scraped off the bottom of the ocean floor and given another chance at this and then to win an Academy Award. It was pretty cool. I'm happy that he can put that one on his shelf and do that, because Brendan Fraser, from all accounts that everybody who knows him, is a pretty good dude as far as that goes. Not a lot of ego with that guy, just very much, an interesting all-around kind of guy and a versatile actor, if you think about it. So bravo to Brendan Fraser. Some of the other things about the Academy Awards that bother me last night is Top Gun Maverick. Steven Spielberg alluded to it. Tom Cruise, say what you want about Tom Cruise and his Scientology thing. Top Gun Maverick brought people out of their house and back to theaters, regardless of how much it cost for a ticket. People wanted to see that movie on the big screen, and it made $1.4 billion this year. A lot of times, money doesn't equate to Academy Awards. I get that. But there aren't that many people out there that did not enjoy Top Gun Maverick. And it did not get a nod for Best Director. It did not get a nod for Best Cinematography, which might be the same category. I'm not sure. But a friend of mine, Jeff, who runs a movie theater and is very much a very, very good film guy in his own right, brought up a good point that how does it not even get nominated for Best Cinematography when they were teaching the actors to fly their own planes and frame their own shots while they were filming, and it turned out great, which it just kind of, it sucks that Maverick didn't get more recognition. And Tom Cruise yet to win an Academy Award, and he's been in some stuff that he totally deserves it. Like Few Good Men was the one that everybody back in 93 thought he would pick up an award for, and he never did. So I don't know if there's industry bias there, but anyway, the Academy Awards is what it is. Some people love it and have their Oscar parties. Some people, like me, casual fans, you punch in for a second to see what's going on and punch back out to watch something else. From a radio standpoint, the musical performances, Gaga was fantastic. Lenny Kravitz was fantastic, and so was a pregnant Rihanna. Thought all those performances were very, very good. So it was you got what you want out of it, I guess. You were entertained, but there's some things that have come out in the movies lately that has bothered me quite a bit. And I don't know why people are just noticing this now, but it seems to me that the pandemic in the last few years in this country, it's just really, it's either unmasked something that's always been there and we're actually seeing it for the first time, or it's just with social media and with everything else, we've just given people more of a voice than I think they should have. And it's, unfortunately, it's the vocal minority who makes things a bigger issue than what they already are. And I'm talking about a lot of people are now complaining when somebody's cast that doesn't necessarily look like the original character. And this is a slippery slope, and it's touchy for me because I don't like when you mess with somebody's creation. I don't necessarily think that you have the right to, just because you're doing a movie, alter someone's creation. I think, I'll use Superman as an example. Superman was created way back in the 30s. He was envisioned to be about 6'2", 6'3", dark hair, blue eyes. He's a white guy. That's who he is. That's who Superman should be. And I think there's ways to get around that. If you want to cast someone as Superman, you do it in a different way. Everybody knows Spider-Man as Peter Parker. Peter Parker, white kid from New York, that's who he is. But they've kind of created a different Spider-Man and used Miles Morales and made him of a different race and a different ethnicity. And it works well because you're not messing with the original. You're creating something new. You're letting people fall in love with something new. And now there's been quite a clamoring lately, especially after Into the Spider-Verse, of people wanting to see Miles Morales in some capacity on a big screen. And it would be very cool if that happens, because you're not going to tarnish what Peter Parker is. And I think that's, kind of how you have to go about that. But it seems like lately a ton of people are throwing a fit about the way things are being cast. And I don't know when this started, but it can stop anytime. From the time the first Little Mermaid poster was released, people were all up in arms that they cast an African-American girl as the Little Mermaid. And when the trailer hit, I scrolled through the trailer a little while ago just to see what the comments were. They dropped the full trailer during the Oscars. Sure enough, the comments were what you'd expect them to be. That's not my Little Mermaid. Oh, how can you, Disney getting woke and going broke. And I guess I don't have a problem with it. I really truly don't. Hallie Bailey is the new Little Mermaid, and no, it's not going to be the same as the animated cartoon, but I guess, I don't know. The same thing, people are up in arms now about Tinkerbell being an African American in the new Peter Pan version, and I don't have a problem with that. I have more of a problem with, we got to make some of the Lost Boys girls. No, we don't. We really, truly don't. Leave that alone. You want to cast a black Tinkerbell? I'll applaud you if she's a great actress, if she looks the part, if it's cool, go for it. Leave the freaking Lost Boys alone. The Lost Boys are the Lost Boys for a reason. You don't need to mess with too much. And this whole thing to be all-inclusive, I get it, but you're losing audience by forcing it. When it happens naturally, it's not a big deal. And what do I mean by that? This whole reverse flipping races and casting and gender bending, as far as casting goes, has been happening for a while. You know what? When Superman or Man of Steel came out in 2012 or 2013, whatever it was, Lawrence Fishburne was cast as Perry White, predominantly white newspaper publisher in the comic books, but they cast Lawrence Fishburne in that role. He was good in it. Nobody said a word. If you look at the Thor movies that Marvel did, Heimdall is in the comics and in the legend, in the myth. Heimdall is a burly, red-headed or brown-headed, big Viking bearded-looking dude. Idris Elba played him in the movies, and nobody batted an eyelash. It works fine when you let it happen naturally, but I think the problem is now is it's being forced. And when something is forced, you kind of turn away from it because it's not necessarily what you want. I don't necessarily know that the whole go woke, get broke thing is true, but I think that, somebody should take a big step back and go, who's your audience? Who are you trying to cater to with some of the things that you're doing? Because you need to, in order to really be successful and make that money, you need to get past the core audience that's already going to come to see this. And I'll just use comic book movies because I'm a nerd as an example. If you drop a comic book movie tomorrow, that audience, the comic book lover, is going to go check it out anyway. Now, they might hate it if you mess up their product, like Sony has pretty much done with everything they've touched until Marvel came around and fixed Spider-Man for them. And Fox, same thing with the X-Men. If you will still get that audience to go check it out so they can determine for sure on the big screen if they hate it. So you've made that money to them, but you've got to expand that to a greater percentage of the audience. And when you force something in, it just kind of moves those other people away and pisses them off, for lack of a better word. So it's just something that I wish they would be more conscious about. And then from us as a consumer standpoint, I've always been one to, use my voice for the right battles. I think, people are up in arms about things. And I look at it this way. If I'm going to fight the power, it's not because Disney chose to cast a black girl as the Little Mermaid. That's not a battle that I want to charge into, because at the end of the day, I'm not losing sleep over who the hell they cast as the Ariel and the little live-action Little Mermaid. I'm truly not. I would rather see our voices and people standing up for things that matter and not wasting senseless energy complaining and moaning about the dumbest and smallest of things that have no bearing on your life. It just truly drives me crazy that is what we waste our time and energy on. And I think social media has made that so much worse. You know, we've given everybody a reason to complain about everything. And to be honest with you, it is nauseating. If you just scroll through your feed sometime. Unless, of course, you're one of the complainers. And then you see the people that complain just like you do. And it's a brotherhood or a sisterhood or whatever. But for the rest of us, it is nauseating. So anyway, give that stuff a break. I am stepping off of my high horse on this one and just, let the right person do the right job. And if they're good, great. Now, if the movie comes out and it's awful, then you know what? Okay, lesson learned. Don't try that again. It's just, I guess everybody has their opinion and they're different. I guess the moral of today's life as we know it is stop getting worked up over things that really aren't going to affect your life and just go with the flow a little more. And in the end, you and probably everybody else around you and all of us together collectively might be a lot more happy. That's what I got today. Enjoy the rest of your Monday night, whatever it is you're going to do. Go spend it with people you love, like, or tolerate, because time is limited and you only have so much of it. So get out of here.